Remember how I said yesterday that shotguns didn't get nerfed in patch 1.4? Well, it turns out I wasn't quite right about that. Massive have made some changes and I'm going to explain those in this video now. Stick around. What's up everyone, Skill Up here with a very quick video. Don't want to waste your time. I need to issue a sort of correction for yesterday. Yesterday I put out the world exclusive reveal of all of the 1.4 balance changes thanks to Spider, Total, and Doc Holiday data miners that made that possible. Hugely appreciative of all your efforts. But one of the things that didn't come through was that shotguns were changed. See, when I put out that video, I said that shotguns were not getting nerfed. After that, I actually spoke to one of the developers. He reached out to me on Twitter. His name's Frederick Thailand. He's the lead weapons designer in the division, and he explained to me that shotguns were nerfed, and they in fact lost the 30% damage increase that they received very recently. That was in patch 1.3. All shotguns got a 30% damage buff. Now, I'm not sure if these changes have actually made it into patch 1.4 files. I spoke to the datamine guys. They went back and confirmed that there doesn't seem to be anything in there to indicate that, you know, shotguns have been nerfed yet. Maybe it's coming through in a different way that we can't quite spot, so I'm not sure how it works, but either way it's clear. Massive have said that they plan to take 30% damage off shotguns, whether it's now or in the future, it's going to happen. So that is going to be the case for all shotguns. It's not specific to the problematic M870 that everyone is very frustrated with in the DZ. And I have to say, I am a little bit concerned about these changes. I think the 1.3 changes that increase shotgun damage were actually a really positive thing. They brought shotguns back into the mix. Certainly in PvE, they made them a very, very viable weapon that had a very specific niche. They dealt a lot of damage up close, and they had huge drop-offs, so they were almost useless at range. They also added the interesting stagger mechanic, which I think can be sometimes a little bit too strong on NPCs, but generally speaking is really good, as it can kind of shut down a rusher as they're coming into you. You know, like you're sitting there, you're camping with your group, someone is advancing, you shoot them with your shotgun, stagger them, gives your group enough time to bring them down. So I think all the changes to shotguns there were really great. The problem obviously was in PvP, the M870 was just capable of one-shotting people, which is really shitty. The problem with this though is that, or at least the change that Massive is proposing now, is that, you know, a lot of the power of the M870 was propped up by a whole bunch of stuff that's about to get nerfed. So for instance, Brutal and Deadly are both getting halved in terms of their power. Pulse is losing like a huge chunk of its crit chance and its critical hit damage. You know, Sentry's Call, which, you know, it actually wasn't the biggest problem with shotguns, but it was a contributing factor because of how much base headshot it had on it. That's getting nerfed as well. So all of these things in combination are going to naturally reduce the power of the M870, and I'm not sure that it was required to take another 30% damage off an M870 to bring it back to par. What I will say though is that every other shotgun but an M870 is not going to be in a great place after this. Shotguns are meant to be big, powerful, bursty weapons, and without that extra 30% damage, every other category of shotgun, like the Super 90, the double barrel, the sausage, all that sort of stuff is just not really going to have a place from a damage perspective in the PvE meta. They will still retain their place as the stagger weapon, right? So they're going to be the kind of weapon that you can use situationally. They're going to retain their utility, but they're not going to be damage efficient at this point. They are going to be purely that stagger stick, not an effective DPS selection. So, not sure about this change. Need to go in there and test it out. Need to run the numbers in more detail. My sense though is that it's a little bit on the heavy-handed side. I think that all the other changes in the game are probably enough to bring the M870, you know, back into a reasonable territory. And I think other shotguns are going to suffer unfairly from this change. But anyway, we'll have to see how it goes. I just wanted to issue that correction. Apologies that it didn't make it through, but I'm not really sure why it didn't show up in the data mining. Either way, we know it's happening. I just wanted to be clear about that. Thanks very much for watching, guys. There's a whole bunch of other videos that I'm doing on this topic. You can see them on screen now. Full end-to-end coverage of patch 1.4. All of the juicy detail, because I love that detail. If you like this video, guys, do drop it a like. And if you haven't subscribed, subscribe for end-to-end division coverage. For now, guys, thanks very much. Take good care, and I will see you in patch 1.4. Bye-bye.